and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires that we call the internet is little Joey Ryder. How you doing today, Joe?
Well, better than Wes Craven.
Too soon?
Pretty much.
Okay. Can we make jokes about John F. Kennedy yet?
I'm working on John Belushi myself.
How about Abraham Lincoln? Can we make jokes about Abraham Lincoln?
Not too close to, Movember.
How about Napoleon? Can we make fun of Napoleon dying?
Nah, we don't make fun of short people.
How about Shakespeare? Can I do a Shakespeare's dying joke?
You don't like bacon, so I think we should avoid that too.
Now that is a hell of an obscure reference. I will give a free graphic novel to anybody who writes in and knows where that joke's from. Let's see. Sophocles? Can I make a Sophocles joke?
Only if you put him in a hemlock.
Let's see. King Tut?
I don't know. Again, it kind of goes back to the beard thing.
How about Gilgamesh? Can I make a joke about Gilgamesh dying, or is that too soon?
Too soon. Let's make a joke about Rob Liefeld.
Rob Liefeld's dead? I didn't even know he was sick!
All right. Phew. And if you follow that, you'll probably get Rickrolled, so you probably don't want to.
Should I tell the Rickroll story again one of these days, Joe?
Which one?
I think I did the greatest Rickroll in the history of life.
You done did?
Yes. I worked in a movie theater for a couple of years. And I worked up in the booth, where now I guess nobody works up in the booth because they program, all the movies are digital, so they program them in. And as long as the power's on, the movie starts at the time it's supposed to. So all the projectionists gone.
Pretty much.
They're probably down selling popcorn.
Good thing that union worked for them.
Oh no, there was no union when I was there. It had been busted years ago. But one of the things they had, we would get a CD every month of songs that were to be played. And these songs that were to be played, basically record companies came to the theater chain, paid them money to play this, to put the song on the CD. And they would be terrible songs that you never heard anywhere else because no radio station's touching these. And I told them, that I was leaving the job because I found a regular full-time job and I didn't want to keep it as my part-time job. I kept the group home as my part-time job. That might have been a poor choice, but it doesn't matter for the story. So on my last day, before I went in, I took the song, Never Gonna Let You Go, or Never Gonna Let You Down, or whatever the Rick Astley song is. Never Gonna Give You Up. That's it. Never Gonna Give You Up. And I put it on I burned it onto a CD, and it fit on the CD 20 times. So, on my last shift, they didn't have me up in the projection booth. They had me mopping and sweeping the theaters after each show. So there was a little downtime. I knew the code to get up into the projection booth where the CD player was. I also knew that the person up in the booth would be at the other end of the theater because there were movie changes that needed to be done. So I knew I had a clear opportunity. I go up, I push eject, CD comes out. I don't hide it. I put it back in its case and in the month that it's supposed to be in. And I drop in this CD, which had on it Cory's goodbye present.
Goodbye.
Drop it in, put it in, hit play, and the little thing so that it just plays the CD over and over and over and over and over again like it did with the regular CD. And I go downstairs. And I complete my shift. And nobody pays attention to the music because it's terrible. Except for me that night. Because it's never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you. Oh, nobody's yelling at us. Jin's not on the show. So, I finished my shift.
Yells when I sing.
Oh, no, she yelled at me when I sang that one time.
Good, I don't feel bad now.
Yeah, she yells at everybody who sings. She's on the road right now. She's leaving Oklahoma.
On the road again.
Every time I've been in Oklahoma, I can't wait to leave. But I leave. The next day, I start to get emails from the people who work at the theater. And all they say is, that's great. And I found out that CD played in that theater for 3 solid days. Till one of the managers was walking down the hall and was like, I wonder why they're playing this old song. And he did some stuff, and as he's coming back, like about 20 minutes later, it's like, they're playing the song again. These CDs are usually about, an hour long. They shouldn't be repeating this song within a half hour, and, oh, damn it. Went upstairs and found it. Now, the other thing I found out from one of the people who work the customer service desk, at least 5 different movie theater patrons went up to the desk and said, I think your CD's broken. They keep Rickrolling you. Oh, gosh, we'll have to look into that.
Sure they did.
Because people who worked there who weren't the managers were like, that's great. This is wonderful. We hate this job. So, yes, on my last day at the movie theater job, I rickrolled that movie theater for 3 straight days.
Beautiful.
So how have you been, Joe? It's been a week since we've been together. And this is our first episode that will not be on a Monday in months.
What?
Well, Monday's Labor Day, and there's not a lot of internet traffic on Labor Day.
That's a good idea.
But we've been really good about having the podcast up on Mondays for people who, start their work week on Monday, so you can listen to the podcast on your employer's time. We want you wasting your employer's time. That's our purpose in life.
It's a noble purpose.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be happy to know I bid on my new shift at TSA.
Yes.
And I have the same shift I have now.
Oh, okay.
So we'll still be recording every Monday so you can record it. You sit on it an entire friggin' week.
Yes.
Boy. That's what I think of that.
Well, let's remember that I do have another job. And
no dedication to this, I'm telling you.
And I have another job on top of that.
Terrible.
And your mom's last check bounced, so I'm not even sure I can be your friend anymore.
I think she cut it off at the source. I'm not sure.
Wait, she goes to the source?
Everybody goes to the source.
Oh.
I will tell you though, I could use about $1,000.
Well, who couldn't?
Yeah, I mean, I swear, at any given time in my life, I need about $1,000 just to get things taken care of that I need to take care of. I mean, for example, like right now, I could use $1,000. The first 300 would go for a new pair of boots. The Z coils that I like. They have the big spring in it. I'm hoping when I go to the state fair tomorrow on the hottest day of the year that the people who have a booth there will have some type of fair special, so maybe I can get some bucks off on that. My car stereo's kaput. I can't play CDs in it. I have to beat it in order to get the CDs out, so all I got is radio, and you know how much I love local radio. I wouldn't mind $100 to upgrade the bandwidth on my internet, get a higher megabyte, gigabyte, whatever the hell they're offering. I got about a $200 brake job on said truck that, they're like, well, it doesn't need to be done, but it probably should be done. And I'm like, wait. You said brakes, right? You're not talking windshield wipers here, brakes. I'd like $100 to get a new Nano. Mine's crowded and I've got the screen cracked, so all I can do is plug it in and let it play randomly. And of course, I would like...
That's how much a Nano is?
They might be more. Because they've increased.
What?
I'm talking like a 2 gigabyte Nano is what I've got. And now they're like 16 gigabyte. So they're like way much more.
Joe, I'm going to give you some advice. The MP3 player I use at the gym is a Sansa.
That's fine, but all my music is on iTunes, so.
So is mine.
So, anyways.
And it cost me $22, and it's 8 gig.
The last $200 I need to get a new email from these guys, our sponsors.
You may not be able to join the mighty Marvel Marching Society anymore, or even the Friends of Old Marvel, but you can visit our sponsors. Our oldest sponsor is DreamHost.com. DreamHost.com is the best, bar none, web host in the whole known universe. If you need a website, go to DreamHost.com. They will take care of you as they've been taking care of me for over 15 years. If you use the code CRAYZ, that's Krayz, you get $20 off your first year of hosting. If you are listening to this podcast, you are very good looking. That's right. As a good-looking person, you can't trust your skin to any old razor. That's why you need to shave with the amazing razors you can get delivered from the Dollar Shave Club. Every month they send a box with your shaving supplies. At the beginning of the week, or whenever you want, you pop in a fresh blade and get that fresh blade shave. It feels fantastic, and it's just one of the many, many ways that you can maintain the good looks that everyone has come to expect from you. And if you join us at the Dollar Shave Club, their plans start at just $3 a month. They have a money-back guarantee, and there is no excuse for you to ever use any other razor. So just go to dollarshaveclub.com/crazy, Krayz, to get started. One of the things you need to do this year, you need to get healthy. We all need to be healthy so we can all hang out a lot longer. And one of the ways to get healthy is not to go down to the vending machine and buy those chips or those candy bars or any of the other vending machine snacks. You want healthy snacks picked out by actual chefs who know what they're doing, and you can do that at graze.com. And if you use the code Cory S3R5P, your first and fifth box are free, so you can try it out. See if that's the kind of stuff you like. That's Cory S3R5P. Our final sponsor is Worldwide News. Worldwide News is the story of the lowest rated cable news network and the people who work there. It is updated twice a week by writer Cory Strode. Hey, that's me! And artist Dangerous Dan Moore. Worldwide News at worldwidenews.solitairerose.com, part of the Solitaire Rose family of websites. If you would like to contact us, there are a whole bunch of ways. You can email us at cory.strode@gmail.com. You can give us a call. We have a voice line that is open at all times at 952-856-0519, or you could go to Facebook and join the Crazy Comics and Stuff fan page. If you would like to advertise on Crazy Comics and Stories or on Solitaire Rose Radio, you can. Just send me an email at cory.strode@gmail.com, subject advertising. Thanks. Wow, you did the sponsor bit.
No, now you got to go into the FallCon bit.
I don't know what's going on at FallCon.
Come on, I say it every week. It's the same thing. It's the Midwest Comic Book Association FallCon, the comic book party, October 10th, 2015. 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds Education Building, which, even as we speak, is being used as an education building. But when they leave, then we'll be able to set up the one-day wonder. 420 minutes of extreme comic book action. And, of course, if you have any questions, send it to the boys at www.mcbacomiccons.com or mcbaquestions@gmail.com. See?
And we'll be there.
We will.
And not only are we going to be there, but we'll have a table.
We will. And we will be setting up.
We'll be recording.
Yeah. And what I want people to do, if you're coming by, is give me your best
money.
Well, yeah, but they already did that for 10 years. And believe me, I thank them for that. Speaking of the money giving, I'd like to hear your favorite memory about Hot Comics. Or even Crazy Comics if you went to the smaller shop. Because, we haven't really done a lot of Tales from the Shop because we pretty much run out of Tales from the Shop that I can recall. And,
that's why we bring Butch on now.
Yeah, we bring Butch. I've got to set up to talk to Gruber eventually whenever I get my solo thing off the ground. Oh, geez. I could use another $400 just to get a small laptop that I could carry with me. Because mine, like I said, the screen is gone. It's a pain in the butt to carry the laptop, the monitor, and all the other stuff. So I'd like to hear your memories, if you have anything specific, especially if you have a story you could tell us that we've never covered, or even one that we have covered if you think, well, that's not the way I remember it, because believe me, my memory is not as much as it used to be.
Your remembering?
Didn't I just say that?
There will also be a competition going on.
This isn't the how many Twinkies you can fit in your mouth one, is it?
No, you're the only one who's involved in that.
Yeah.
And thankfully you've quit doing that since the diabetes.
Well, if Chris doesn't see it, it never happened.
No, someone is challenging me for the title of the best dressed man in comics. And this will not stand.
Well, it's a good thing I'm sitting.
Joe?
That's the name.
Do you know who I am?
Do you want the NSA file or my perspective on it?
Do you know who I am? I am Cory Strode.
The Strode.
The best dressed man
or woman
in comics. No one, and I mean no one, comes close. Someone said Jim Sternenko. You know what? I've seen Jim Sternenko. Turtleneck and a suit in Minnesota in the summer. That's not best dressed. That's just crazy. James Syme.
That's my business. I'm crazy.
James Syme over at Isotope Comics in San Francisco with his zoot suits and his carnival suits and he's all flash and no substance. None of them hold a candle to me, the god of being the best dressed man in comics.
No matter what the weather.
Know it.
In the world.
Love it.
He's the best dressed man in comics from 99 to 2000. Spanning 2 decades.
Learn to love it, because it's the best thing going today. Woo! We should probably talk comics at some point, shouldn't we?
Well, we could. I mean, we just had Box Day. We could talk.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. So we could talk about what we read, or we even get the previews. We could talk about stuff coming up in previews that we're excited about.
We should probably talk about previews. I didn't get to read anything, Joe.
Oh, dang! And here I got a whole stack of things I read.
We'll get to that in freaking.
Ooh.
I have some news that I have some stories that will remind you to just how stupid I am.
All right.
But the previews showed up. It's a heavy thing.
It is.
And on the cover, Dark Knight 3, The Master Race.
Yes.
Not real certain about that subtitle there.
Because the Batman said he is the master race.
But I've kind of glimpsed through previews. There are certain areas I haven't looked at yet. I haven't looked at the t-shirts and the novelties and the silliness and the hoo-hoo and all that. But I have gone through the comics, and there's some stuff I'm really excited about, stuff I'm kind of okay about.
Okay.
Dark Horse, I looked through and I'm still getting Gru, I'm still getting stuff, but there was nothing new that made me go, woo, I want that.
Empowered Special, Pew, Pew, Pew's coming out, and I kind of like that title, Pew, 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 signifying being shot at.
Or, playing guns
Pew, pew,
when you're a kid.
Pew. So I'm just going to do that. Empowered, of course, is by Adam Warren. He was a guest at one of the Spring Cons back when it was Spring Con. And it's one of the books I absolutely adore. It's mostly available in 8 different graphic novels, or you can buy the Unchained volume. It's essentially a super heroine. She's a blonde. She's bombshell. Wears a skin-tight costume that gives her superpowers. Problem is, it tears easy. And as it tears, she loses her powers. And consequently, she has become probably the best known bondage superhero around because all the supervillains tie her up. There's some real serious stuff going on, but it's basically 90% fun. So check it out. And if you want, like I said, Empowered Special, Pew, Pew, Pew is coming out, so you can try it for $3.99.
The one that jumped out at me was Itty Bitty Hellboy, because it's by Art Balthazar and Franco.
I like his stuff.
They worked on Tiny Titans. They do another comic called Aw Yeah Comics, which comes out from Well, it's in previews, but it's mostly about Ah Yeah Comics, which is a comic shop in Chicago. It's also the comic that the wrestlers Kazarian and Christopher Daniels have both written and starred in. And I'm looking forward to their stuff on Hellboy because, hey, come on, it's Alt
If you can't say it, you can't read it.
Art Balthazar and Franco.
I actually have a little bit of him. He did a Supergirl and a Streaky for me in my Supergirl collection.
Oh, cool.
Which you can look at. On my Facebook page, I have it under my Supergirl art. So if you want, check it out.
Now, on the other page, right next to that, is a book that I recommend, but I'm not going to buy. And that is the EC Archives Panic, Volume 1.
I've actually got that.
Why aren't you going to buy that?
Why aren't you going to buy that?
Because I have the deluxe hardcover, black and white printed from the art, as well as from the 90s when they reprinted it comic size. I figure having 2 versions of it is enough. But Panic was the Mad's official knockoff of Mad. Mad sold so well, and Harvey Kurtzman was so slow, that when they asked him if he'd do another book, he said he just didn't have time. So Al Feldstein, who was the other editor, put together a book. And Kurtzman was not happy about this, but since William Gaines was the publisher, wasn't a whole lot he could do about it. Panic is not as funny or innovative as Mad, but it uses many of the same artists. So it's almost as good. Out of all the Mad imitators, it was the best one.
That's on my question mark list because I've got a lot of things that I want to buy. I'm trying to keep myself in a budget. And so if I can get it, I will. But that's pretty much it for me on Dark Horse too.
Well, there's Gru.
Yeah. Oh, you already mentioned Gru.
Yeah, I'll always buy Gru.
Now the question I have for you,
yes,
as we dive into DC, which version of Dark Knight are you getting? Are you getting?
Oh my God, what a mess!
Oh, you're telling me. I mean, it comes out, and you talked about this a little bit last week. It's for $5.99. You can get the comic book version, which comes 32-page standard comic book, and then it inside has a 16-page mini comic that'll measure 5.5 by whatever, and it's tipped into an insert and bound into the main comic, which I'll find interesting because I'll be willing to bet you're not going to find a mint copy of that anywhere as they pile these hundreds upon hundreds on top of each other and ship them. Then, of course, what did they say? A little bit later, they're going to release the Master Race Collector's Edition, which will be the oversized paper Overboards Collector Edition featuring both stories from Dark Knight at the same size. And then the very last one out of all 8 will come with a slipcase so you can put all 8 of these together in a nice package. And I'm going crazy trying to figure out, do I want to do just the comic or do I want to do the collector set? Or do I want to just say F it all and wait for the inevitable hardcover?
I am going to wait on this one because the idea of the mini comic and then we'll publish it in the regular size for, what is it? Like the regular comic is $6.
Yeah, the other one's 13.
And then the other one's 13. No, I'll just wait. One of the things that I find fascinating, Klaus Janson was the inker on the original Dark Knight. And at some point, and Janson was also his inker, and later he did what they call finishes, which means Miller just broke the story down and he did the penciling and inking on Daredevil. And as you read Daredevil, you could see as Frank is pulling away from the art duties on Daredevil. And I've always liked Klaus Janson's inking, his inking on Tomb of Dracula. That's the best Gene Colan ever looked. But they had a falling out, so he wasn't involved in Dark Knight 2. He's back inking Andy Kubert for Dark Knight 3. So, knowing Klaus Janson and how he inks, I imagine they're going to go as much as they can to make it look like the original Dark Knight. But, all these formats to just bleed the fans of money. No, I'm going to wait. I'm going to buy it as a book. They'll probably put it out as absolute. I'll buy it as that, put it with the other Absolute Dark Knight, and be done.
Well, the mini comic is inside the regular comic. It's not like there's only two formats. You either buy the comic, or you buy the collector edition, or you wait for the inevitable hardcover, or the Absolute,
or the trade,
Absolute, or the trade, or the digital download illegally. I don't know. And then, of course,
or the digital download legally.
I'm curious because they have,
even though DC doesn't mention digital at all.
They have a 1 in 5,000 original Jim Lee sketch variant. And I'm real curious as to what the pricing is on that. And if you want to talk about other DC things, I'll go take a quick look and see if Discount Comic Book Service has their stuff up yet.
Well, there were two other ones that I wanted to highlight. And the first one is Superman American Alien.
Yeah, I looked at that one too.
Which is by Max Landis. And they mention here Hollywood screenwriter and Eisner Award nominee Max Landis, who wrote Chronicle, American Ultra, and Adventures of Superman. They're forgetting the most well-known thing that he wrote. He wrote The Zombie Survival Guide and World War Z. That's what he's known for. But the fact that he's going to do a Superman story, the artist, sorry, I don't know that artist, Nick Dragotta. I don't know his work. But Max Landis, World War Z is one of the most well-done zombie novels because it really takes the genre, turns it on its head. This is after the zombie war, basically, and it's written like it's interviews with the soldiers who survived. The Zombie Survival Guide was a lot of fun. Landis is an innovative writer, but I don't know much about his comic book work. So this is one, again, I'm waiting for the trade on. And then the last one is a comic that I honestly thought would never, ever, ever, ever come out.
Which one?
Batman Europa was on the cover of previews either 2 or 3 years ago. And it was going to be this huge deal. It was going to be penciled by Jim Lee, inked by a European artist. The art they showed was great because my big problem with Jim Lee's art is everybody who inks him, it's like they're inking him with a single pen that's very, very thin, so that everybody looks like they have a bajillion lines all over everything. And the European artist is a very lush artist. Uses a lot of shadow and such. And his work with Lee looked, wow, that doesn't look like Jim Lee at all. And it looks really, really good. Well, now Jim Lee's just doing the covers and the European artist, actually no, the European artist is doing the layouts and Jim Lee is drawing over the layouts. So they've kind of switched it up. Since it's Jim Lee drawing it, it's going to be unbelievably late and, you know.
Well, maybe. It's only 4 issues. So we'll see. Maybe that's why they said, hey, we're not putting it out until it's done. Although usually DC or whoever will say, yeah, we've got 5 issues of 12 in the can. And of course, all 5 come out. We never see the other 6.
Well, remember All-Star Batman and Robin.
Exactly.
For years, literally years, they've said, oh yeah, Jim Lee has all the scripts. And then with issue 18, when Jim Lee's done, Neil Adams will take over.
Yep, that worked out well.
Yeah. So those are DC's big things. The rest just seem to be kind of there continuing what they're doing. I don't see anything exciting or flashy.
I saw 2 things.
They don't have any new number ones that jump out at me.
That I really probably will buy. In the Vertigo section, they have a book called Jacked, written by Ernie Kripke, I think, and John Higgins. And I'll read it. It says, Josh Jaffe, a neurotic family man, midlife crisis, buys an online smart pill to increase his focus and jolt him out of his slump. But to his surprise, the pill gives him incredible strength and powers, but at a cost. It's extremely addictive. It's supposed to be irrelevant, brutally realistic, and it's only 6 issues. The things I added from DC this month are all miniseries. Dark Knight, Superman, American Alien, Batman, Europa, and Jacked. The other two things that finish are the All-Star Section 8, number 6, Bizarro, number 6. The one thing I'll look at, depending on the price, I'm really intrigued by the Looney Tune variants just because they are so funny. And if they got a decent price going on them, I might do that and do like I did when I picked up the Harley ones, just read through everything and see if anything catches my imagination.
There were 3 trades I wanted to point out. All 3 are from Vertigo. First one is Flinch, Book 1. Flinch was, came out a while ago, back when DC had all the big name talent. You know, all the writers that then went over to Marvel and revitalized Marvel. At one point, they were all at DC working in Vertigo, and they did an anthology series called Flinch. They're reprinting that as trades, and I'm a sucker for horror anthologies, and this is a really good horror anthology. The next one is Strange Sports Stories. And I'm actually really surprised they're putting out the trade paperback because the individual issues sold so poorly they weren't even in the top 300. This has CM Punk's second comic book story. And the issue that I read, it's another one of those fun Vertigo anthologies. Everything is about sports, horror, science fiction, weird stories. It's a fun ride. And again, lots of fun stories, lots of good art. The last one I want to point out is the iZombie Omnibus. iZombie is by Chris Robertson, drawn by Michael Allred. They've made a TV series out of it. When the comic came out, it didn't sell real well, but they're putting this out as an omnibus to try and key in on the TV show. I loved iZombie. The main part of the story is that the lead character is a female who's a zombie. And she's learned that if she eats brains every so often, she's able to not become, the drooling, but she's still, able to think, able to hold a job. Skin's real pale though, because, no blood. But it's a fun series. It's
blood's over.
Lighthearted horror, which is hard to say, but it's lighthearted horror.
So is there anything in IDW you're looking at?
Let me take a quick look here.
While you're doing that, there's 2 things. I mean, I'm big on the Star Trek stuff. I like the Star Trek Green Lantern crossover, whatever. I read just issue 2. I'll talk about that in Geeking. I love Empire Rising. I've been picking up Insufferable by Mark Waid and our good buddy Pete Krause. A couple of trades I'm looking at. One of them's called The Infinite Loop.
Yes, that's the one. Nope, that's not the one I was pointing at.
Pirik Kulnet and Elsa Karelter. We can't pronounce it, crap. Anyways, this one's a science fiction series that asks the age-old question, what would you risk for a chance at true love? Teddy's a young woman living in a faraway future where time travel is a common practice, and her job is to maintain the status quo by correcting time paradoxes. You just say time travel and you got me. But she meets Anno, a time paradox, and the girl of her dreams. Teddy must decide between fixing the time stream, or the love of her life, both which have unique consequences. And they're saying it's a must-read for fans of either romance or science fiction. Lighthearted, full of fun, and a solid foundation. So I'll pick that one up. The other one comes under their Top Cow imprint, Our Expanding Universe by Alex Robinson.
Not Top Cow, Top Shelf.
Top Shelf.
And that was the one I was pointing out as well.
Yep. Alex Robinson returns with a spiritual sequel to his Eisner-winning debut, Box Office Poison. It's been 15 years since the young cast of that beloved drama graced the stage. Now Our Expanding Universe introduces another Robinson ensemble to explore how time can transform a group of friends. Marriage, children, affairs, divorce, and that's just the beginning. Plus, there's a new printing of Box Office Poison. If you've never read that, you definitely should. I enjoyed the heck out of it. My one copy disappeared between my daughters. When Top Shelf was discounting a bunch of stuff and ready for their move over to IDW, I just picked up another copy. So those are the 2 I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to that one too. I really enjoyed Box Office Poison, and it surprised me how rapidly Alex Robinson became. He went from kind of an okay cartoonist and kind of cliche storyteller. By the time he got done, his cartooning had really taken huge leaps, but his storytelling was just amazing. And the way he was able to weave different plots, and his characters became much more three-dimensional and much more realistic as he went on. The other one that I would point out, if I had unlimited money, Joe, could you turn back a page?
Oh, hang on, I'm already way ahead of you here. Oh, excuse me while I drool a bit.
Graham Ingles' EC Stories Artist Edition.
Oh.
The Artist Editions are the size of the original art, and for EC, their art was much bigger than the original art we know now. And it's shot actually from the original art, so you get all of the notes on the side of the page, and you can see where they used whiteout to change things and stuff like that. And Graham Ingles was one of the best artists at EC, and I would say for horror, he may have been the best. All of his people looked
gruesome,
gross. And this is one of those things where, oh my God, the art would be amazing to look at in such detail. As I've said, I've got the EC hardcovers that they put out in the 80s and early 90s, and his art looks beautiful in that because they shot it from, basically they made new film from the original art like they would have done in the 50s, with much better printing press and much better paper. And this is going to be printed on paper that is pretty much the same as the original art paper. I've seen the one for Mad, and it's one of those where I just looked at it for hours. Mm. And this one,
keep playing that lottery.
I would also recommend the Haunted Horror Pre-Code Coloring Book, where they're going to take a bunch of old 50s horror comics and print the covers in a way that you can color them. It could be fun. There's also Andre the Giant Closer to Heaven, a biography of Andre the Giant in comic form. It's getting really good reviews outside of comics. They've already finished it and sent review copies to, to places that review things other than comics. It's getting really good reviews. I'm interested in it, but I don't know it's going to be a budget thing. If I'm going to be able to afford it or not.
So having read the prose version, I'm not sure if this would add anything to it. I would add if you like Kevin Eastman or you like Simon Bisley, check out the miniseries Fistful of Blood. Because they're, yeah.
That's a isn't it?
Yeah, had me. No, it's an ongoing 2 of 4.
I thought it was, one of the things that they had done back with Tundra.
It could be.
Let me take a look. Excuse me while I whip this out.
Oh.
Yes, we're going to keep using that joke.
Yeah, it's all good.
There are certain jokes that I will use constantly, such as, what in the wide, wide world of sports is going on around here?
Now, of course, the only question I have for Cory, are you buying Ringside #1 from Image?
No.
Professional Wrestling Epic begins in an oversized first issue. I'll give it a shot.
I'm trying to find, what page is the Simon Bisley thing on?
I don't know. I'm
up
on Image now.
Yes, this is a reprint of something they did at Tundra back in the early 90s.
Cool. So hopefully better paper.
Oh yeah. And good luck finding that.
Yeah.
It was Tundra. Nobody bought Tundra back then. Kevin Eastman may as well have taken his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle money and just flushed it down the toilet repeatedly. Because I don't know if I've told this story. Do you know why Tundra went under, Joe?
I know you have, but go ahead. For our fans that don't want to listen to 205 episodes.
Kevin Eastman, who was one of the two co-creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, got this idea in his head that artists should be treated better. Creators should be treated better. And they should be treated in the same way that people who work on novels are treated. Where if they accept your novel, they give you an advance, you go away and write it, and then you're paid royalties when it comes out. Kevin Eastman learned that's a real shitty idea to do with comic book artists, because he would give them their advance, and then nothing would come in. And nothing would come in, and nothing would come in, and nothing would come in, and they would have nothing to print. And then when they would get stuff to print, it would be like, I haven't been able to finish a story. Can you print my sketchbook? And no one would buy it because you're just printing his goddamn sketchbook. Mm-hmm. And I heard different figures at the time. I heard that he lost anywhere from $2 to $7 million on Tundra. And the only thing that really saw print was, the Taboo, the horror anthology Taboo, and a few, and some sketchbooks and some half-finished miniseries. And the rest, no, never saw print. No. That is why publishers generally don't pay you until after you turn in the work.
Yeah. Other than Ringside from Image, I've only got a couple ongoing series. There was nothing really new that I was jumping on. How about you? Anything got you going from Image?
Nothing new, but I do want to point out that Saga does return in November.
A new story arc. So if you want to jump in or do like I'm doing, just buy the trades.
Oh, there's Ringside.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know anybody who's working on it, though.
Nope.
But I guess
I'll give it a try.
They've done some other stuff at Image. They did Shudder and Tech Jacket.
Oh, when it gets
so
here.
If they've got those at the library, I'll check them out, read them, see if they're good.
And when I get the number 1, I'll read it, let you know about it.
Okay.
All right. Now, our favorite buddies, currently in the midst of a secret war, Marvel.
I have not looked through Marvel yet, but I will say that the 6-part crossover event for Star Wars, that sounds interesting.
I'm really enjoying the heck out of all the Star Wars books. And I get to a point where I decide, I'll stop and I'm just going to pick them up as trades. I think I'm going to keep going with the Star Wars books. The one thing I'm finding, though, is kind of the same thing that I went through at DC. I am not getting engaged with Marvel in terms of jumping back on books. There's a few, we talked about Invincible Iron Man. We've talked about Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange.
Shield's still going. Guardians of the Galaxy's back. Drax is coming out, of course. CM Punk is writing it. That's all I need to know.
I'm really surprised he's going by the name CM Punk.
But I did find it interesting in there. They calling him the UFC fighter. They're not calling him an old WWE guy.
No, not with that lawsuit.
Nope. Let's see. Star-Lord 1 starting up. I'll give that a try. Hercules #1. I've always enjoyed his solo books, so I'll give this one a try. I don't care if he's bi or not bi.
Hercules.
After what you talked about, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Yes.
I thought I'd give that one a shot. And there's a one-shot called Secret Wars 2, TOO, dealing with the humorous side of Secret Wars that we didn't quite get a chance to cover during all the super seriousness.
I always like those. I know that they don't sell well, and I know that a lot of people bellyache about them, but I like the Marvel humor books like What Now and What the...
So that's pretty much it. As far as ongoing ones, things we've talked about before, Invincible Iron Man. Most of the Avenger books just don't have it for me. I will probably pick up the all-new, all-different Avengers just because Mark Waid's writing it.
Are you going to buy the Captain America Shield Jell-O mold?
I thought about it. And
you can make your Jell-O look like Captain America's shield, and we all know that all those who meet Captain America's shield must yield.
For shield?
Yeah.
There was some egg molds later on in the catalog. I thought about getting those.
Hmm.
They were like, I don't know where they are. Thought of just fun ways of serving your eggs in shapes that people will never understand.
And your wife will probably put it in the back of the cupboard and you'll never see it.
I am shocked that I missed Jughead #1 from Archie.
Oh.
I don't know how I did that. Either I just brain farted, or I thought, you know what, I'll wait and see what I think of Archie #1, which I loved. So I've ordered #2, and I'll just have to pick up #1 at our friendly neighborhood source.
The first thing that jumped out at me is actually the first thing in the comics and graphic novels. Will Eisner, champion of the graphic novel, by Paul Levitz. Paul Levitz, who was the former publisher at DC, best known for his run on the Legion of Superheroes and other things like that. But he's really been talking this up on his Facebook page a lot. And I love Will Eisner's work. I think it's some of the most important work that was done in comics. And I doubt you're going to get anybody who knows more about the business of comics than Paul Levitz. Before he went to DC and got an editorial position, he was the editor of the Comics Reader, which was a fanzine that was kind of the newspaper for the comics industry. Then when Comics Buyer's Guide got sold to Krause Publications, they switched from being all ads to having news stories. And since Levitz was working at DC at the time, the Comics Reader just kind of faded away. But Levitz is an expert in the field, and I'm really looking forward to this book. The next thing that jumped out at me in this section was, of course, the Archie stuff. I'm not hearing anything about the Archie superheroes at all, good or bad, and I'm kind of wondering why they're still publishing them, because they just seem to be vanishing. I have yet to see one in a comic shop. But the Archie revamp, I read issue #2, really loved it, and I was at the grocery store Saturday, because I actually had time to buy some groceries, Joe.
What?
They had Archie #1 there with the magazines. They had Afterlife with Archie magazine there with the magazines. They had Mad, and they had 2 or 3 other DC books, and that was it for comics. And I was kind of surprised because I haven't seen comics in a grocery store decades.
The question I have, when you are buying your Archie comic, which variant cover did you go for? And I say variant cover because they're all the same price. There's not one that's rarer than the other.
I usually go for the artist who drew the interior, because I prefer that. I've never been someone who likes, oh look, George Perez drew this cover and Don Heck drew the interior. Or John Byrne drew this cover and Joe Brony drew the interior. I like it when the artist who drew the cover drew the interior. I'm weird that way. Although, I will buy a Kirby cover on anything.
I did like on the Archie comics, they at least show you the comics. And the
Yes.
one I went for with like #4 is the Francavilla cover, because it has Archie sitting back reading Afterlife, which is obviously after. And I thought that was funny. The other ones are good. I like the fact I can look at them and decide which one I want.
I like the fact that they're all the same price.
Yeah.
But Annie Wu is taking over is doing an issue. She's someone who's done a lot of indie work as well as Fiona Staples. Fiona Staples, gosh, why isn't she drawing this Archie? Well, probably because Saga just came back, which she owns part of. But Annie Wu's art is really good. It doesn't look like it's going to be a real stylistic difference. And if you would have told me 2 years ago that one of my top 10 favorite comics coming out would be Archie, I really would have been surprised. But Mark Waid can write anything.
Oh, yeah.
Anything.
Boom.
No, he still has a comic coming out, but he's not the editor-in-chief anymore.
Did you find anything from Boom?
Oh! I thought you were saying Mark Waid and Boom.
No. I was trying to lead into, because I actually will probably pick up the 6-issue miniseries Klaus, written by Grant Morrison and illustrated by Dan Mora.
Yes, I have that one too, and I like their What's to Love and What It Is.
Yeah.
What's to Love? It's Grant Morrison.
What it is? Klaus tells the stories of how Santa Claus really came to be. I had it with Grant Morrison. I didn't even realize. Grant? Okay, you got me.
I'm very tempted to get the Lumberjanes to the Max edition. I missed out on Lumberjanes. I hear it's really good, and they're putting out a nice big thick hardcover of the first, 17 issues? No, it's 1 through 8. So it's not as big as I thought it was. Well, then I'll probably not. I'm not going to pay. I'm not paying $40 for 8
You're not going to get anywhere sounding like my wife here. Are you going James Bond #1 with Warren Ellis from Dynamite?
Why, yes, I am, Pepper Boy.
I'm on the shelf on this one. I don't know if I'm going to just do graphic novels or be like I did with The Spirit and just jump on and enjoy the ride.
I actually read Dr. No last week. First time I'd read one of the original James Bond novels in a long time. They are not aging well. They really are not aging well. And Ian Fleming was really, really racist.
Boy, I remember my dad had all those down in his basement. First edition trades. I don't know what he did with them. He just donated them, tossed them, whatever. I never read them, though. I know who they were. I just, there was always something to read. I just wish now I would have. He also had a lot of westerns, not as many science fiction as you'd think.
My dad didn't read much science fiction at all, but he read Louis L'Amour westerns, and every time I'd buy him a western by another author, he'd kind of give me a look of like, oh, okay, whatever. I don't remember him reading the Bonds. I loved the Bond novels when I was a teenager. And then when they had new authors, John Gardner took over the series, and he was a vast improvement. He was a much better writer than Ian Fleming. And then he kind of stepped out, and they brought in a couple other people, and the series just kind of faded away. But this looks exciting, and it's Warren Ellis. You kind of like Warren Ellis doing a classic character, because he usually finds an angle that no one else has used before. So I'm really looking forward to his work on it. I'm trying to see, was there anything else Dynamite is doing that I'm going,
Train Called Love.
Trying to see, do they have a new issue of The Spirit?
No.
Yeah, they do. No, they don't.
Yeah, they did, #5.
Okay. And that's Matt Wagner, who, I have 2 tattoos of Matt Wagner characters.
But are you going to do A Train Called Love by Garth Ennis? Or wait for the trade?
Wait and trade.
Yeah.
Wait and trade.
I'm not.
This is the second issue.
I gotta jump on that baby. I'm all over it.
Grumpy Cat's got a comic.
Have you taken The Bus?
No.
Paul Kirchner's The Bus 2 hardcover?
I didn't get #1.
Oh, you should have. It's in a trade. Between 74 and 86, Paul Kirchner created several comic strips, such as Dope Rider and The Bus, where basically it was a bus strip that proved that even a 30-year-old public transportation vehicle can take part in a Grand Prix. In 2013, he relaunched The Bus, and his new ideas are equal with the original strips. Absolutely loved the trade paperback I have of the original The Bus, and with the hardcover coming out from Editions Tanibus, I'm definitely going to pick that one up.
Looking over at Fantagraphics,
which we all like to do.
If I had more money, I'd be buying the Walt Disney Mickey Mouse hardcovers, because they're reprinting the original Mickey Mouse comic strips from the 30s, which are very different from what you think of as Mickey Mouse. This was when Mickey Mouse still had a personality, and the artist, Floyd Gottfredson, was doing an adventure type strip with Mickey Mouse, because the 20s and 30s, even into the 40s, comic strips were how you sold papers in a lot of ways, and they would have long continued action adventure stories, because you didn't have TV. And those 30 strips are beautifully drawn. But the one they reprint more of the complete Peanuts in paperback, and they're still in the 50s on that. So if you remember us talking about Peanuts back in the 50s, this is where you could get I have the hardcovers. These are the paperbacks, so they're cheaper. But one of the things that really
if I had
pissed me off.
$500, I would buy the complete Zapped Comics box set. I think that would be phenomenal to read.
Oh, same here.
I mean, look at the
nuts. Remember when it came out, they said, and the unpublished Zap number 16 will be in it.
Yeah.
They print Zap number 16 as a regular comic. It's still way overpriced. It's $15 for 80 pages. But it is the last issue of Zap Comics.
Yep.
Zap Comics is an underground anthology. The first 2 issues were all Robert Crumb, but as it went along, he would bring in the top names in underground comics, and the gaps kept getting longer and longer and longer. But if you ever want to know what the best of underground comics were, you'd buy Zap Comics. That was where the best cartoonists did their best work. And a new issue, it's got to have been at least 10, 15 years since Zap 15. You know, let's go to the Strotron 2000 to see when Zap 15 came out. Zap Comics 15. Zap Comics. Debut other character circulation. What? Oh, you could buy Zap Comics number 15 through Amazon. And it came out in 2004. So it has been 11 years. By the way, if you want to buy it used, $45.
Woohoo! So maybe that $500 set is a pretty good deal.
I know that eventually they have to put it out as a paperback or a trade paperback of some kind, because this is one of those things that's just too well known to be, oh, you want Zap Comics? That'll be $500.
Yeah.
Let's see, what's coming up? Oh, by the way, our friends at Devil's Due /First, Badger's still not coming out. I guess it'll be in the next previews.
Aww.
When we reviewed Badger, Joe. You're gonna have to keep waiting.
Did we really hurt their feelings?
I'm not getting into my feelings about Devil's Due, but let's remember, Devil's Due does not have a good track record of putting stuff out on time. But they show up at the spring.
Pretty much everything else.
Nice.
Pretty much everything else I've got ordered are things that have already been out or have a track record. You know, I talked about Grant Morrison's 18 Days from Graphic India. I've talked about Letter 44 from Omni. Invader Zim. Oh. Another thing I like is the Johnny Vasquez covers are the same as the regular covers because his art is delightful. Still picking up the Titan Doctor Who's, the photo covers. And of course, this month, no back issue, but Alter Ego 137. Always pick those up.
I think that was about it that I saw as well. One of the things that, if I had a job that paid much, much better, I probably would have jumped on Valiant, because Valiant keeps getting people saying it's really good. But again, it's not getting much in sales or attention. And I don't know how they're able to keep putting out books and buying huge ads in previews, because they don't give that away for free, you know.
Nope. Although you can get it for $1 at the discount comic book service, which I do appreciate. I know at my, when I had Hot Comics, I had a deal where if you ordered from it, you would get the next month's free. And I also had people that just bought it outright. I had people that, what would really annoy me is there were some people, they wouldn't come in monthly. So I'd have like 2 previews and like, well, I don't need this one. I can't order out of it. And I said, well, yes, you can order out of it because hasn't shipped yet. The old copies I'd put out after the due date at half price for $1. When I had the little shop, I just sold them. I think I might have just costed them. At the time they were like $2.50. Now I don't know how discount does them for $1.
That's probably cost.
And then once it was over, I would just throw them out on the discount pile. I just, the freebie rack. Neighborhood kids would come and grab them. I'm sure they didn't know what the hell to do with them. I told people I'll only order books if you want them.
Oh.
Aww.
In the toys?
I did find it interesting, though. In the back of the preview section, they had their big thing this month is As Seen on TV, which I thought is brilliant because that would be the type of display I would set up at the comic shop. And different things that go through that you've seen on TV, mostly, Bob's Burgers, Invader Sim, whatever, you know the titles. They had the little blurb on it, and then, even iZombie. And you could make a display like that at your shop and advertise it. In the back of previews on the flip side, they have a bunch of gold key issues, the type of photo covers that I love collecting. Bewitched, John Steed and Appeal, Star Trek, Cowboy in Africa, my favorite Martian. All these classic covers of just, how crazy Dell and Gold Key were about publishing TV series and properties. Of course, the rights to do that were probably dirt cheap back then. Nowadays, it probably costs more than you can make on the comic book.
Yeah. Well, and also back then, a lot of the...
Wait, did you say toys?
I was going to say, they have a lot of toys. They have a lot of toys for the anime One Piece. Mm-hmm. And again, if I had money, I like One Piece. One Piece is one of my favorite comics. I'd buy me some One Piece toys. Okay, I'd just buy toys of Nami.
I'm looking, they got a Doctor Who 12.
Because she's a really busty redhead, and she's pretty awesome.
Because I like Doctor Who. Then I would have one of every Doctor. Including War Doctor. I got one of him, too.
Oh, okay. Well, look, we've gone almost an hour.
Holy crap. That must mean there's a lot of comics out there.
And what the other thing is, normally when we get to the end of our topic, we talk about our advertisers, and then we talk about your eBay page. But gosh, looks like we already talked about our advertisers, so maybe we won't be able to get to your eBay page, Joe.
I had a couple copies of the All-Star Batman and Robin #1, the retailer incentive variant sketch covers. And I just sold the last one on eBay. So that was kind of cool to see that. What was more interesting is I had a All-Star Batman and Robin #6. That was the Diamond Retailer variant. And that one was actually signed by Jim Lee because I think at the particular retailer variant distribution they were at, he was there and he signed copies for everybody. So that of the two was probably the more rare ones. And they both went for a paltry $49.99, which is probably anywhere from 1/2 to 1/3 of what most people sell them for on eBay. Sold a couple covers of Warlord of Mars. If you recall, when Dynamite got the property Warlord of Mars, it was a big, I don't know what you'd call it, shitstorm. Couldn't use the words John Carter because apparently Disney had that locked up for a,
Dynamites, didn't have the rights to John Carter, Warlord of Mars. What they did was the early Tarzan and John Carter novels have been out long enough that they are public domain.
Ah, that's what it was.
But the character is trademarked. So while you can do stories using that stuff, if you call it John Carter, Warlord of Mars, you're violating trademark.
Yeah. So they just called it Warlord of Mars. And I had a couple of the sketch covers, most notably from the Deja Thoris miniseries. And they were some pretty nice ones. David Finch, Greg Land did a couple of the weird red variants. I love Dynamite because they come out with just tons of variants. They got naked booby variants, just a lot of fun things like that. Cory, you've seen Toxic Avenger?
Yes.
Have you?
I've seen all three of them.
Have you seen Toxic Crusaders?
Yes, I did see some of the cartoon.
Okay. I can honestly say I've seen the movies, but I haven't seen the Toxic Crusader, because that was a cartoon spin-off, which was very odd. Toxie's joined by a crew of similarly bizarre toxic heroes, which include Major Disaster, No Zone, Headbanger, and Junkyard, half hobo, half junkyard dog hybrid. Marvel did a comic series in 92. It went about 8 issues. I actually had some of the toys that were done by Playmates, and I sold the Toxie one fairly cheap. A lot of the things I sell on eBay, I do sell under what other people sell them for, because I want to sell them. I want to get rid of this stuff. For example, I sold a copy of Jeffrey Dahmer, an unauthorized biography of a serial killer. That one surprised me because there were none on eBay, so I just popped it up, and it sold right away. And this one, of course, it wasn't an exploitation. Well, I suppose it was. It was pretty graphic details. It was Boneyard Press, done by Hard Fisher.
Oh, yeah.
It was an uncensored book. It wasn't designed to be a celebration, but rather an examination of a wasted life. But people went bug crazy. Oh my God, he put it in comic book form. Oh, never mind the fact that dozen or so unauthorized biographies that popped up in prose format. Somehow when you put it in a comic book format, it's bad, okay? Either way, they lost the lawsuits. So a little bit of history on that. Maybe someday we'll just crank up a podcast on comic books that have caused lawsuits. And that one was definitely one of them. Speaking of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and our good buddy Kevin Eastman, his wife there, what's her name, Julie Strain?
Yes.
I feel sorry for Kevin because I know Julie says was one of the most attractive women out there. Tons of nudie shots, tons of titillating photographs. But he says, when I'm at home, I just put on a sweatshirt, no makeup, no hair, and just sit around. So Kevin doesn't get as much as you'd hope he gets. I made up that last part. She said the part about the sweatshirt. Anyway, she had a book called Julie Strain and Friends, Heavy Metal Live. Emerald Entertainment from 2004 to 2005. I don't understand what this was. They called them tour books, but they were just excuses to put her on a cover and a bunch of her nude friends inside. They had some signed variants.
And what about that do you not understand?
Why it's in comic book form. I mean, it could have just been any form. And was it a tour? Did she actually tour around and sign these things, or did you buy them that way? Either way, I had a signed copy. I was tempted to keep this one, but as you know, I'm trying to dump the accumulation of stuff. That's pretty much all I've sold of note on the eBay things that of interest. And of course,
and how do people get to your eBay page, Joe?
Well, you can go to the solitairerose.com where you have graciously put a link. You can just type in crazy on eBay and go to it. I suppose I could even post a link on our official Crazy Comics Facebook page. And I happen to know I told you last week I had a dilemma. One of our listeners, who used to buy at my comic shop, bought some things. A couple of those Wizard half editions I was talking about that nobody bought. So I had them dirt cheap. He bought a few. And I was trying to think I had to give him something decent from my accumulation of crap or stuff, depending on how I feel about it in any particular moment. So I not only gave him a nice piece out of the collection, but I also hand-delivered it to his home. Because he lives in town. And I was coming home that way because I had to go out to the airport to do my bidding. And I thought, what the heck? And he actually was home, and I think it was kind of surprising because he had seen that I posted it was going. He probably thought I mailed it. So it's kind of nice just to talk with him for a bit. And you know what I gave him out of my entire accumulation of crap?
An apology?
No, something better. An Earth X trade paperback.
Oh, wow.
For some reason, I had 2 of them. Don't need two, just need one. Not even sure I need the one. So I just threw it in there with it, and he was pleasantly surprised. He sent me a nice thank you note. So if you buy something from me, I too may toss something cool into your eBay winnings, or I might just, I don't know, throw some crap in there. I don't know. I got a lot of stuff sitting around here. So
Depends on your mood.
It depends on the mood, and if I know you, and I don't know if you bought me toast or anything. So if you ever do win, just send me a note via eBay, or send me, heck, if you just want something without winning anything, send me a note at crazycomics@gmail.com. I've done quite a lot of things just mailed out. I actually had one returned. So if I ever promised I was mailing you something and you never got it, it was because I had your wrong address. Just send me another email, I'll send you another thing. Hell, even if you did send it, just lie. I gotta get rid of this stuff somehow. I got 9 years before I retire. I want to get it so I can get it out of here. My friends threaten me. The next time I move, they're not helping me move my collection. Boy, that's almost a good setup for freaking.
Joe!
And geeking.
Freaking and geeking! What are you freaking on?
People, you've got to work on your ad placements. I was looking at a CNN article about the tragedy down in Texas where Deputy Darren Goforth was killed. And all of a sudden, I hear this cheery, bubbly article about whatever. And I'm like, wow, do you even know where your ad's being placed? I probably will never, ever buy your product because I'm reading this terrible, article about a terrible, I don't know, I can't even put a noun to it. And here's your bubbly ad. It's almost the same thing like watching nightly news, you know. When back, we'll see the wildfires destroying the West and firefighters killed. But first, an ad for Mean Joe Green and feminine protection. I mean, ad placement's everything. I can't, if I place an ad on one of these guys, I'd be like, guys, don't ever, and I mean ever, place me on the breaking tragedy news of the day. Terrible. The only other thing I'm really freaking on, and you know I'm a big fan of the Simpsons Tapped Out games. I'm enjoying the current monorail storyline, but it keeps freezing. I go online and everybody's like, yeah, it's just a problem. They're aware of it. They don't know what to do about it. I mean, I just force stop the app, clear the cache, and start up again. Sometimes I can, like today when I was busy doing my eBay stuff, I just had it playing in the background. Because they have these things where you got to like build up certain points before you can move on in the game. So I just let it play. Went for hours, and then right before the podcast, I was waiting for Cory to call, froze after 10 seconds, twice. I am not buying any donuts or anything. I'm just going to play the freemium game until they figure this crap out. Again, not a lot of heavy things. I mean, I'm kind of bummed about my schedule in a way. They changed the schedules at work so that the one guy who had he had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. They took that schedule away for some reason. Don't know why. It's just something they do. It gives them a power trip, I guess. Had they not done that, I could have gotten off on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You know, the cherry one. I mean, I'm talking, I got guys ahead of me in seniority, behind me in age, that I have to hope they die or move on or whatever before I'll even get a chance to get a spot like that. And here, because of the way they jury-rigged the schedule, you know, this guy's like, well, you know, he's ahead of me in seniority, he's just going to take it. I got my old schedule, which is fine, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Of course, Thursday, Friday, Saturday would have been cool. Would have had Thanksgiving off, Christmas off, both Comic-Cons off, New Year's off. Now, I just don't get the Sunday bling, which is like 25% of my base salary. That's like about $100 every 2 weeks. I guess I'm going to have to cut. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that hardcover of Panic's off the list. But on the other hand, I do get the same schedule working with the same people, so that's kind of cool. That's all I'm freaking on, Cory. What are you freaking on? What's got you down in the dumps?
Joe, do you remember back when I did overnight shifts for, you know, that was my job?
Like you did last weekend?
Well, one of the overnight people has hurt herself and cannot work overnights. And can't do any day shifts either because she's been trying to move to days. And she said, well, if I can't do overnights, maybe I could do other duties. And they said, no, we don't have enough stuff for you to do. Because basically she can't lift 50 pounds, which means she can't even help when one of the residents falls. So they called me.
Did she hurt
at
herself?
9:30.
Did she hurt herself on the job or elsewhere?
Elsewhere.
Ah.
So they called me Wednesday night at 9:30. Can you do the overnight tonight? I work tomorrow, so no, I can't. And the overnight starts in a half hour. Well, you could do a sleeping overnight. And I look up the clock and I say, well, I gotta get all my stuff for tomorrow ready and everything, and I won't get there till around 10:30, 11 o'clock. That's fine. As long as you can come in. I get in about 10:30. The panicked staff there, because one of the supervisors had to be there, which they hate more than anything.
God forbid.
Oh my God. One of the supervisors had to actually be in the cottage, said, yeah, we're really in a bind. We don't have anyone. We've called around. Can you do tomorrow night as well?
They're in a bind because they're way behind and they're willing to make a deal.
Not really making much of a deal.
Oh, not really. But when they said sleeping?
I said, well, okay, I could do tomorrow's sleeping shift. Friday morning, they ask again. This would be my third night. Now, Joe, it may be a sleeping shift, but you're not going to get a lot of sleep. First, you're sleeping on a couch. And I have to put down a couple sheets because I know the people who sit on that couch. I know their hygiene issues. Plus, if something happens, they need a second staff, they have to wake you up so you can help. Plus, there are certain people who, when they go to the bathroom, feel it's important to turn on every light in the living room, even though they don't go through the living room to go to the bathroom. Plus, we have two people who are on hospice care who make a lot of noise at night because they get scared. So by Friday, I go in and I'm kind of out of it, really kind of out of it. And I'd had a bad week at work. I'd had a bad week at the full-time job. It was one of those I put up on Facebook, this is how I feel today, and it was the Sideshow Bob when he steps on rakes for like 2 minutes. That's how I felt all week last week. I couldn't do anything right. Tried to help one of my friends. Nope, screwed that up. At work, screwed a couple things up because I didn't pay as much attention to what I was doing as I should. Doing the group home, I'm just fried. Friday, I do that overnight, and I only have to be there till 10, right? No, somebody called in sick, so I had to be there from 10 p.m. to noon. A little irritated by that. And then they say, is there any way you could do the Sunday sleeping overnight? Oh God, please. All right, I can. Now at this point, I am so fried, I misread Sunday. Came in Saturday, 10 o'clock, to do my sleeping shift. Now, one of the staff who found out on Thursday she had to move on Friday, girls, I'm going to give you some advice. If you do share an apartment or a house with someone, have your name on the lease. Because then if things go horribly, horribly wrong, you have a little bit of leverage and they can't just lock all your stuff out of the house. So I come in and she's like, oh my God, you're here. I'm going to call and see if I can leave. What do you mean? I'm supposed to work tonight? No, you're not on the schedule. But I had to move today and I have to, she called and boom, she's gone. Sleeping. I did 5 sleeping overnights in a row, Joe.
Did you get to sleep?
Kinda. Last night, Sunday night, was the best one because Tom, who I worked with on the majority of my overnights, been there 22 years, knows what he's doing, can handle it, runs a very calm, quiet shift. I actually got a decent night's sleep last night. Every other night, hell no. So by Sunday afternoon, you remember the episode of The Simpsons where they showed Apu had stayed up for like 132 days in a row?
Yeah.
That's how I felt. That is my freaking. Geeking. Joe, what are you geeking on? What are you loving?
I am enjoying two artists. Not so much that I buy their work, which I have, but I also enjoy what they're doing. The first one's Tom Beelan. I've talked about him before. I got that really cool Spider-Man Secret Wars tie-in where Mary Jane's give him the finger. I posted it up on Facebook for people to look at. He's doing cards, selling them, I think just selling them straight off of Facebook. And the stuff he does is just, I just enjoy the heck out of it. Like he's got one where Aquaman swimming amongst his dolphin friends and there's little bubbles floating out from behind him. There's one where the Hulk is staring down at the Black Widow, and of course the Hulk's got kisses all over his face. And he's done things based on Magic the Gathering, Game of Thrones. He does do commissions. So much like Fred Hembeck does, he's just selling his stuff either on Facebook or on eBay. So if you're looking for some humorous, cool little cards, or you want to maybe do a nice little gift for somebody and want an artist to do it, he might be someone to give a quick yell to. Tell him you heard it from our podcast. He didn't know who the hell we are, but you know, what the heck. Another guy, and I don't know his name, Rocket Tread 23 on eBay. Again, hilarious cards, some of them nudies. He seems to specialize in fairly large, voluptuous women. And again, he's doing comic figures, just hilarious stuff. If you want to check him out, and he might do commissions, I never asked. I picked up a couple funny Supergirl ones. One where Ant-Man's in their cleavage going, honestly, Supergirl, I just popped here by mistake. Maybe it was the evil guy. Sure, it was. Cory, have you ever been to Oscars?
To the Oscars, the movie awards?
No. The hamburger chain out in Berkeley.
I don't eat meat, so no.
Well, you never will because it closed.
Oh.
As part of the closing.
And you're geeking about
well,
that? You are a cruel, evil bastard, Joe Ryder.
There's one less meat-eating place around.
I'm not one of those people who thinks that eating meat is terrible. I think that eating meat for me is terrible because I will end up in the hospital, but I don't care if people eat meat. I grew up on a farm. Cows are stupid. They deserve to die.
So basically you're telling me you're never going to Berkeley's just to go to Oscars.
I probably am never going to Berkeley's.
Well, you don't have to because Oscars is closed. And as part of the celebration, Eric Larson did an exclusive comic book cover for them to sell or give away in their store. And of course, unless you had a way of getting to Berkeley, it was almost impossible to get one. Well, somebody on eBay is selling these covers, and so I was able to nab one. I don't know if this guy, he's sold hard to find variants before, so he either has gotten a hold of a case of them or something, but he's been selling them off eBay no problem. Anyways, I was just happy to get this because I've been watching eBay ever since Eric announced he was doing this. Eric's done other exclusives for this chain before it went out of business, and he hasn't really said how the comic went, so maybe it didn't go so good, which is why this guy's got a ton of them to sell on eBay. So, but that was kind of fun. I know you didn't do much on Box Day, so I'm not going to dwell much on it. Oh, yes, I am. Right away out of the box, what I read, just to give you an idea of my priorities. Star Wars 8, Gru Friends and Foes number 8, Justice League 43, again, the Dark Side Anti-Monitor War. Oh, and the ending is to die for. Keiju Max number 5, the what you'd call it, I guess, the prison for gigantic Japanese-type monsters done by one of our buddies, Xander Cannon. Darth Vader number 8. You almost got to read that in conjunction with Star Wars number 8. Groot number 3. I actually probably will stop at Groot, but I did enjoy this one. Shield number 9. An oversized issue, but lots of fun. This afternoon, I sat down, and my second wave was all the Secret Wars stuff. I blitzed through the last days of Magneto, Where Monsters Dwell, which is why this one. Look, I guess it does have a parental advisory on it, because it definitely needs it. Weird World, I'm actually enjoying a lot because it's almost like anything that they didn't know what to do with, they just threw in the Weird World, including the old Crystar Warriors, if you remember that toy line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he shows up, well, sort of shows up in Weird World. Secret Wars, Secret Love. Hey, anytime you have Squirrel Girl dating Thor, you know it's going to be good. Last Days of Loki, or is it? Guardians of Nowhere, the Korvac Saga. Oh boy, shit's getting real. Secret Wars 2099, and of course Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. And I still have a pile left to go. The one I'm really, really curious about, Hank Johnson, Agent of Hydra. Yep, that's a Secret Wars tie-in. So well, I still got, and I tell you, I'm just enjoying the heck out of this Battle World. I can't wait till the digital stuff shows up, because if I had more money, I would have this crossover, I would have jumped in and just enjoyed the heck out of it. I'm usually a sucker for a crossover, but this one's really getting me. Even some of the ones like that, what do they call it? X-Men 92, the bad years?
Yeah.
I might even have picked that one up. So, but it's interesting because as things are going on in these books, again, they're all kind of their own little universe. These people either know they're part of a Walden community, they know Doom is God, or they don't. But there's a lot of resentment out there with Doom. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying I'm enjoying it.
Things don't look good.
Well, we already know it ain't going to last. Thank you, previews. Anyways, and that's pretty much all I've been geeking on. You got a box of comics, and I haven't even read a half of them. Usually by this time I've already read through everything, but I'm not even close. Oh, and I got me an unopened copy of Rescue from Gilligan's Island, so I'll probably watch that tonight. Unless you want it. Would you like a copy of it?
I've seen it.
Oh, it was fun for what it was. The fact is it got so much hype just because was that the first show that they actually did a reunion show where they're like, oh, we're going to end this, because they kind of just left them on the island. And they just kind of went with that continuity. And what was weird, I remember watching it, no laugh track. I was so conditioned to have laugh tracks, for watching the reruns as kids. So, but I enjoyed it. And now it's running for free in my chiropractor's office.
There you go.
Wait for it. Cory, what are you geeking on? What's got you happy?
In my box, there were 5 magazines from Tomorrow's. 2 issues of Alter Ego, 2 issues of Back Issue, and 1 issue of Comic Book Creator. I'm looking forward to reading those over the next month. One of them is about Saul Brodsky, who was kind of the production guy at Marvel during the 60s, who I know next to nothing about, so I'm really excited to read about that. I did read 1 comic. One.
You crazed man.
Doctor Who, the big Doctor Who crossover.
Oh, the 4 Doctors.
Yes. And the first issue was fun. I enjoyed it. It was all about how they shouldn't all meet in the same place at the same time. And it had the kind of humor that I expect from a story like this, because one of the great things about Doctor Who is how they mix humor with the drama, and you can't have one without the other. The episodes that don't have enough humor kind of leave you flat, and the ones that don't have enough drama, you go, nothing happened. But this had the humor, and I'm looking forward to the drama as it builds. But the big thing I'm geeking on happened during this show, Joe.
Uh-oh.
Marvel Studios will now report directly to Alan Horn, separate from other Marvel projects. Marvel has undergone a Secret War as a year after they moved on to the Disney lot, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has orchestrated a reorganization which will see him reporting directly to Disney CEO Alan Horn, wresting oversight of the film division away from Marvel Entertainment COO Ike Perlmutter, aka the asshole who causes 90% of the problems for Marvel Publishing. The reorganization, which went into effect last week, only affects the film division. Television and other Marvel endeavors remain under Perlmutter's purview. The new situation is not dissimilar from the one Disney has with Lucasfilm. While New York-based Perlmutter has a reputation of being tough to work with and a reputation of being a cheap bastard, which is why so many of Marvel's paperbacks and trades and hardcovers go out of print so fast. Because he said, no, if they don't sell the first month, they're gone. We're not going to pay to have a backstock. You need a backstock. God damn it. That's why Marvel's is out of print. That's why a lot of Marvel classic stories are out of print, and they're not making the Dark Knight Watchmen money. Back to the story. Horn and Feige have been Feige, F-E-I-G-E. Feige? I don't know. Have worked closely together for some time and have a very successful creative relationship. They've produced a string of massive hits, which in a year's time have included Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Avengers: Age of Ultron. If this means that Ike Perlmutter is slowly being cut out by Disney, it is one of the best pieces of news comic fans could get. Perlmutter is a classic Wall Street raider type. He's one of the guys who drove Marvel into bankruptcy with the stock deals he did in the early and mid 90s. He's also the guy who was behind driving the speculator market by forcing Marvel to let the marketing division run the publishing division. So if they're able to completely cut him out, it's going to be a great day for comic fans, even though they won't even know what happened. It's going to be a better day for comic shops because Marvel right now, and we'll talk about this in a future episode, but right now, it used to be that DC was number 2, but shops preferred working with DC because they really worked with the direct sales market. In the last 3 to 6 months, with the move out to LA, that's gone. That's completely gone. And that's one of the reasons why DC's sales are slipping faster than even I thought they were. It's because that relationship that DC had with the retailers is going south fast. We'll talk about that maybe next time. And as I said early in this episode, Ms. Jen Wicked is right now, as we record, leaving Oklahoma, driving toward Kansas City, and will be in the wonderful city of St. Paul late tomorrow.
Rolling down and trucking. We gonna do what they say must be done.
Which means all this furniture is gonna be out of my house.
So time to get there. We all know that Jen's coming home.
Well, believe it or not,
gotta get the singing out of me before she gets here.
Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about comic books, and pretty much only comic books, for an hour and a half or longer. I honestly don't know.
Shocked, I tell you. We won't.
You're shocked.
We won't do that again.
Yeah, we'll have to switch up our game, and next time we'll talk. I don't know about Pogs.
Oh, they're making a comeback. You should see the new Elf Pog.
So as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
The first monster you have to scare the audience with is yourself. Wes Craven. Cory, hit my music.